Welcome, folks, to today's webinar. We'll wait just a moment as attendees move over from the waiting room. I'm seeing that attendee number climb and loving it. Welcome, folks. Waiting for just another minute as people move in from the waiting room into the main room. Great. All right, let's begin. Welcome to today's webinar on EIC's new Sustainable Event Professional Certificate Program. My name is Marshall Bradshaw. I'm a member of the EIC staff. And before the session begins, I have some important housekeeping notes for you. First off, this presentation is being recorded and will run approximately 60 minutes, including some question and answer time at the end. It will also be available afterwards on the EIC YouTube channel. All attendees watching live today will receive CEs, which will appear on your account within the next week. Also, attendees can listen to the webinar through their computers or by dialing in using the number and passcode provided by the Zoom software. We also welcome you to utilize the closed captioning function. Just click on the CC button at the bottom of your screen and you will find the link to the live subtitles. If you have questions, you don't have to wait until the end of the presentation to submit them. We encourage you to submit your questions using the question and answer panel, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. Now, it's separate from the chat, but feel free to say hello in the chat before entering your question in the Q&A panel. They're both down there. We will answer as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. And now I will hand it over to the EIC CEO, Amy Calvert.
Thanks so much, Marshall, and welcome everyone. We're so pleased to have you here and grateful that you've made time for this really important conversation. I always find it so inspiring to see people from across the globe come together to learn side by side as we continue to really hone in on our skills and our efforts to, through a united commitment, build back better. There have been so many learnings for all of us as individuals and as professionals who love the global business events industry and are really committed and dedicated to this journey. So being here today with all of you means a lot to me personally. And, you know, one of the things that we like to always reiterate is that EIC as a global federation representing not only our fantastic members who are doing fantastic work in this space, but all stakeholders, you know, all 26 million global business events professionals, our commitment is to really focus in on these pan-industry issues and commit to this journey of sustainability and social impact and helping all individuals find a learning pathway forward so that they can be an advocate and a champion for these values, the things that we know will ultimately be key to our future and our resilience. So, you know, we, again, are so inspired by your participation and really grateful to all these fantastic panelists who are also committee members and leaders with EIC's Center for Sustainability and Social Impact, as well as our Apex Commission and our Equity Task Force. They have given their hearts and their minds to get us where we are today, and I am truly grateful for their leadership and their commitment to building back better and our principles for recovery, which really are really aligned with the UN SDGs and honing in on this global citizen mindset, you know, prioritizing access and the idea of creating opportunity to education and communication and well-being, and ultimately, you know, all of those essential elements that are the underlying foundation to a true commitment to sustainability and social impact and innovation. So with that, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Mariella McElraith, who is our VP of Sustainability and Industry Advancement. That's quite a task that she has, but she's done a fantastic job in her role as a leader for EIC in this industry, and I have never had a doubt in her commitment and passion for this topic. And so we are here today and so pleased to be able to share with you the news about this certificate program through the effort of all these individuals and many more who are not here with us today. So Mariella, it's my pleasure to turn it over to you to appropriately acknowledge all of those individuals and talk a little bit more about what's in store. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And at first, I think it's really important to acknowledge your leadership in all of this, Amy, your dedication to making sure that sustainability and social impact are top of mind for all of our staff, all of our committees and commissions has really been an inspiration and has been a really key part of having the support needed to develop a program like this and make it available to our global industry and support our workforce. So I'm thrilled to introduce this fantastic panel today. We have Amy Calvert, who you've already met. We also have Derek Johnson. He is one of the contributors to our education. He's also part of our equity task force and serves as Chief Diversity Officer and Director of Event Strategy with Tally Management Group. Welcome, Derek. We also have Matthew Shapiro. Matthew also contributed to as one of our guest speakers in the program. He's a consultant, public speaker, lobbyist with Six Wheels Consulting, and is a member of our Sustainability and Social Impact Committee. We also have, welcome Matthew, and Yalmaz Siddiqui. Yalmaz is the chair of our EIC Sustainability and Social Impact Committee, and also serves as Vice President of Corporate Sustainability at MGM Resorts International. Welcome, Yalmaz. And we also have with us today Claudia Van Hulenaar. She is the founder and advisor of Sustained Impact, is a member of our Sustainability and Social Impact Committee, and is a climate reality leader as well. So she'll be talking to us a little bit today and in the course about the urgent need to act on climate. So thank you all for being here today, and we're going to move forward to the next slide, because I know that you all want to learn a little bit more about what's in the course itself. So first, let's just do a quick scan of the course content. So it's sort of grouped into 4 distinct areas. We have an introduction to sustainability and social impact. So the first module that you'll come across is really, it's an introduction to the course and an introduction to the platform. We really want to make sure that you start off the course with a strong understanding of how to use the functionality that's built in. And from there, we start going into sustainability in events, different frameworks that you might want to utilize, as well as just a general sustainable event plan. We have a section as well on environment and logistics. So this will start off with carbon emissions. We'll talk specifically about food and beverage and important things that you can do around that, such as addressing food waste or looking at your food choices. And I think that when we look at the impact that we have through the decisions that we make with our food, it really is very important that we focus in on this. And we've also have a module here on materials resource management. You'll notice that there's a shift here. You may have heard people refer to it as waste management. In this module, we're really emphasizing the importance of thinking about all of the materials that we purchase as having a life cycle. So we're talking more about circularity. We're talking more about planning for the entire life cycle of all the materials that you use. And we also have a module on exhibitions. Previously, we had one module on social impact. That has now been increased substantially into 4 distinct modules. So we have one that is focusing on community service, diversity, equity, and inclusion, accessibility, and a module as well on human trafficking awareness. And finally, we also have a section that is going to focus in on business operations. So things like how you manage your supply chain. I think we all know the importance of looking at all of the elements that form the ecosystem of our events, and supply chain is really key for that. We'll talk about measurement and reporting in a separate module, marketing, communications, and public relations. And we wrap up, of course, with talking about the business case. We want to make sure that we recognize that this really is about people, planet, and prosperity, and that we can really make a difference for all aspects of that triple bottom line. So if we can move to the next slide, I think we have a little preview. Yes, so here's Angie Ahrens, one of our reviewers, telling us about the course.
Hello, my name is Angie Ahrens, Certified Meeting Professional and Senior Manager for M4 on the Global Events team. I'm here to tell you a little bit more about the Event Industry Council's Sustainable Event Professional Certificate, also known as SEPC. With this program, I recently took it and learned so much more about designing and implementing a sustainable event. I say so much more because I've been planning sustainable events for quite some time, but I knew I needed to continue to learn and develop in all the ways that sustainability is changing and growing for us as industry professionals. I also really wanted to look at the sourcing elements to be more aware of the social impact that sustainability covers, because we all know sustainability isn't just about being green. And from what I learned, it all streamlined to that triple bottom line that I know so many of our organizations are passionate about: how we impact socially, how we impact the environment, and of course, fiscally. During and after the program, I was able to take a microscope to my program and really see how the planning process, all from the minute I sourced materials and where they came from up to food donation after, to see where the low-hanging fruit was, to see what I was missing, and know that I can just grow on that experience and really make more sustainable efforts as we move forward. Again, totally impacting the triple bottom line. I highly encourage you to take this program to impact the events which you plan. As a meeting professional, the suggestions are applicable in a variety of ways. And to all of my vendor friends, there are examples that can help you strengthen your current products and partner with meeting professionals in a brighter way. I hope you will join me in taking this course and helping your company achieve that triple bottom line.
So that was Angie Ahrens, the chair of our Knowledge Committee. So grateful to Angie for being one of our primary reviewers, along with Stephanie Jones, the co-chair of our Knowledge Committee. But I wouldn't want to go further without acknowledging the incredible contributions of the global volunteers that helped put this together. So first and foremost, our course instructional designer, Dr. Aurora Dawn Benton, founder of Astrapto, really took the in-person course that we had and designed it to be interactive and accessible, and really put so much effort into finding great additional activities that would support the learning objectives. Overall, we had more than 50 global subject matter experts who participated as contributors to this certificate course, either as guest speakers or narrators, reviewers. A primary responsibility was with our Sustainability and Social Impact Committee, who are listed here. But in addition, we had tremendous support from other committees and commissions, including our Knowledge Committee, our Equity Task Force, and our Apex Commission. So lots of gratitude to all of those volunteers who helped make this a reality. So if we can move on to the next. So I'm sure you want to see more about what's in the course. So let's talk a little bit about some of the interactive content that you'll find. There are lots of, the entire thing is designed to be interactive. So you'll be at your desktop or at your laptop, and it is optimized to use on those devices. And you'll be interacting with the content throughout. There are learning checks throughout the modules, as well as lots of video resources. And at the end of each module, there will be a quiz. And as I mentioned, it's best accessed on either a desktop or a laptop, although you can use it on a mobile device. There's some things that we can help you with to be able to utilize it best. If we can move on to the next slide. And I think this is where we're going to start seeing some of the elements. So we've pulled some of the video extracts from here. We can start this one.
Hello, I'm Mariella McElraith, Vice President of Sustainability and Industry Advancement with the Events Industry Council. I'd like to welcome you to the Sustainable Event Professional Certificate course. In this video, I will give you a brief introduction to the course, as well as expectations for successful completion. The bottom of the screen is the navigation.
So let's take a look at the modules.
In a moment, you will see other buttons that will appear here. On the module menu, there are topic options. In shorter modules, you will simply choose the single image to go through the content. Other modules, such as this one, have multiple topics. If you click the first topic, you can go through the entire module without returning to the main menu. However, if you need to review content before taking the quiz, you can select a subtopic on this menu screen. Or, if you need to complete a module over multiple learning sessions, you can use the subtopics to pick up where you left off. Next, I will highlight key features of the course. Most slides in the course contain narrated content with some visuals and/or text. I will play a sample of that now.
This set of 17 sustainable development goals, or SDGs, provides an important framework for meeting and event professionals to use in designing meetings and events that contribute to a more sustainable future.
You will notice that the Next button did not appear right away. Each slide is designed such that the Next button appears at approximately the halfway point through the narration or video content. At any time, you may select the Back button to review previous slides, or click on the Main Module button to review a different topic. You can see your progress by viewing the slide number here. Note that the total slide count includes introduction and quiz slides. And if you choose to view the module in a non-sequential order, you should return to the module menu to ensure you have viewed all topics before taking the quiz. Some videos in the course have been recorded by special guests. The video will play automatically, and a play bar is available to pause or rewind the video or expand it to full screen. Some slides contain clickable images or buttons. These always open in a new browser tab. All the clickable icons, images, buttons, and YouTube links are listed in a course resources document that you will have for reference during and after you have completed the course. On some slides, you will click buttons, icons, or images to learn more about a topic. On those slides, you must click through all buttons before you can move on to the next slide. Some require a short answer. For example, on this slide, you will click on the calculator icon to open a carbon calculator, which launches a website with a calculator resource. Perform the activity and return to the course platform to enter your answer. Once you submit your answer in the box, the Next button will appear. There are also interactive drag and drop knowledge checks. You click and drag one object onto another based on the best match. You have the option to undo your last move or reset the slide and start over. On these slides, you will note an accessibility icon. To use the keystroke-only option on such activities, you can select the accessibility icon and be redirected to a slide with a multiple-choice alternative for the activity. Our goal is to offer an inclusive experience for all learners. Whether you selected the accessibility option or the drag and drop option, once you've completed the knowledge check, all learners return to the same place in the module. At the end of each module, there is a required quiz that you must pass with a score of 70% or greater in order to proceed to the next module. You have unlimited time and retakes of each quiz. Each quiz consists of 10 multiple choice and true or false questions. If you have already reviewed the module content, when you return to the module, this Advance to Quiz button will appear.
So in addition to the modules on our online learning platform, we also provide all participants with access to a workbook. And this is available in a flipping book format. And it has a wealth of information, lots of additional resources, survey results, additional information around the Sustainable Development Goals. And towards the end, you'll actually find that there is about a 10-page long resource list of all the great items that have been identified in the modules themselves in the online platform that you can use to reinforce your learning or to go back and find additional resources. All of this has been reviewed by our Sustainability and Social Impact Committee and highlights a lot of the practices and case studies from around the world of organizations doing great work regarding sustainability and social impact. So this is the beginning of the resource list. As you can see, it's pretty robust and comprehensive, and it goes according to each one of the different modules that we have built into the online course. So if we can move on to the next, I think I just have one last thing to mention, and that is there is a completion project, which is a capstone project. You can access this and download it at the beginning of the course, and I think that while it's quite succinct in totality, it really does touch on everything that we want you to take away as learning outcomes from this course. So, really helping you to articulate clearly your vision, understanding how events can contribute to supporting the Sustainable Development Goals. It asks you what specific actions you're going to take in support of all 4 of the principles for sustainable events, which start with sharing responsibility, environmental practices, social impact practices, and supporting thriving economies, as well as how you're going to help accelerate sustainability throughout the events ecosystem by encouraging other stakeholders within your network to implement sustainable and social impact practices. So upon completion of the course, you complete this capstone project, you submit it to us for review, and then you will have achieved the Sustainable Event Professional Certificate. So we're quite excited about that. If we can, I think that might be the last slide. There might be one more. No. So I think that takes us to the end of the slides. So I'm very excited to introduce again Yalmaz Siddiqui. So Yalmaz, as we look at the importance of this course, and can you tell us a little bit about why sustainability and social impact are such critical considerations for the event sector, and what your thoughts are on how this course can help prepare professionals for their role in implementing practices?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mariella. And I'd like to thank you and Amy again for your leadership and support of this topic. It really all begins with individuals having a passion and interest, and then the world changes for the better. I'd also like to thank all the audience for attending and listening, and in advance for taking the course, which I hope you see from Mariella's introduction is a very vibrant, interactive, and helpful kit of tools and guidebooks and exercises to help you really take a notion of advancing sustainability and social impact in your events into really reality and potential program for maybe every single event you host from now on. I think I'd like to answer the second question of how this course helps event professionals first. And I want to clarify, the course is really for event professionals interested in sustainability, but also sustainability professionals interested in events who want to leverage the event moment to advance their organizational sustainability and social impact goals. I think the course has, it has 16 modules, 12 hours of really rich content, and you'll finish the course with a real depth of knowledge, including, if you're starting, some real foundational knowledge on what sustainability and social impact really mean. And if you're already advanced, you'll get access to new tools and resources that you maybe have not seen so far that we believe will really help you take your programs to the next level. So your first question, Mariella, was why sustainability and social impact are critical considerations for the event sector. And I think they're particularly critical now as we come back from a very difficult period to live and hybrid events, because organizations and businesses around the world really use this, well, in this moment, in this difficult moment, there was a perspective that COVID will result in a diminished interest in sustainability and social impact. But the opposite happened. Companies, organizations around the world are more committed to climate action, more committed in the long run to plastics reduction, even though we increased plastics for safety reasons during the COVID period, more committed to diversity inclusion, more committed to gender equality. And so events are really just a crucible of organizational commitments. They're a moment in a company's life, and they really represent, in my view, a perfect moment for you as event planners or venues or suppliers to the industry to help advance the commitments that the organizations have and help improve the world. So that's my answer. Back to you, Mariella.
Thank you so much, Yilmaz. And now I'm going to turn it over to three of our guest speakers from the course, Matthew, Derek, and Claudia, to give us a little bit of a sneak peek about some of the materials and some of the guidance that they shared in the course. And my first question is going to go over to Matthew. So Matthew, first, can you tell us a little bit about the accessibility features that you helped guide us in introducing into the course itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were very intentional in trying to make these modules as accessible to all learners as we possibly could. And so the three main features that you're going to be able to use in these courses in terms of accessibility is all of the modules will have captions, and so you'll be able to use captions as needed. They are all screen reader compatible. So if you are somebody who's blind or visually impaired and uses a screen reader, you will be able to still participate in the modules. And then they are also all keyboard navigatable. So instead of, if you're unable to use a mouse, or your main form of navigating a computer is through the keyboard, you're able to do that as well. So we really wanted to make sure that these modules could be open to all learners, and everyone could get such a great credential once they completed this course.
Thank you, Matthew. And pivoting away from the course itself, but more towards events, both online events or in-person events, are there some key things that you would like all the participants on the webinar today to start activating as part of their planning process for future events?
So absolutely. So there's two major things that definitely come to my mind. And this is something that I've been actively promoting in all of my programming and in all of my speeches I've been doing throughout this pandemic year. But it's to encourage people. I know we're all zoomed out at this point and virtualed out at this point, but I would encourage people to continue and continue forever, essentially, to have a virtual option available at all of your events. Even if we are pivoting back to in-person, I can't tell you how easy it has been for me as a person who is a wheelchair user who has a little bit more of a challenging time navigating and getting to conferences on the other side of the country or in other parts of the world. It's so much more easy for me to be able to say, I can jump on a Zoom link and still be able to fully participate in all of conference activities, and that participants like that would still, I would think, would still pay the same fees, would still participate in the same way. But it has been very nice to be able to have that piece available to me, because it's actually made my world more accessible, which is, at the end of the day, I think what all people, particularly people with disabilities, want. The second thing I would challenge all of you to do is to, as we are pivoting back towards more in-person opportunities, to have somebody with a disability at the table during your planning process, so that you can think about, is our venue accessible? Are we thinking about accessibility features, and do we have an accessibility plan in place as we are planning these amazing events that you all will do? And it is important to have a person with a disability at the table to provide that perspective. So I think if you do those two things, obviously there's much more, and we could have a whole module about just accessibility, or a whole conversation, I should say, about accessibility in itself. But I think if you started with those two things, you would be well on your way to really doing great things. And I too encourage everyone to take the modules, and you'll learn great material.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you so much for helping to educate our team as well about how to design the course to be much more accessible and inclusive. So I'd like to move to Amy for a quick moment. And on the topic of inclusion, EIC has recently established our equity task force. Can you tell us a little bit about the vision for this group and some of the expected outcomes?
Thanks, Mariella. So thank you. So I feel as if Matthew just did such a fantastic job really articulating the vision for our task force, right? So this notion of truly creating welcoming environments so that people can fully participate, right? So I'm so grateful for how you spoke so eloquently and such a simplistic premise, but it's so important for us to hold on to as we commit to building back stronger, to not lose sight of how important that really is, and to take advantage of those learnings and perhaps more expertise in how to leverage digital as a solution that I think does really create opportunities for people to be engaged and to have meaningful experiences. So I think the Equity Task Force really is a group of incredible, dedicated subject matter professionals from all parts of our industry coming together to focus on an equity acceleration plan for the global business events industry. So we have, as many of us, been able to sort of bear witness to some incredibly important life lessons as individuals and members of a global society. We've seen, obviously, here in the United States, the movement of Black Lives Matter as a result of the murder of George Floyd, and we've all been, called to really turn this vision that we've been holding on to for so long to meaningful action. We feel, if we are an industry ultimately that is committed to fostering human connections, that through the power of our communities and our event experiences, we can really be a catalyst for meaningful change. And so this notion around equity is so important for us as global citizens, like we started off talking about. We have this collective consciousness that's come to the surface through this experience of living through this pandemic together. And like I said, bearing witness to, some of the things that we've seen around systemic racism. And for far too long, I think we've had really good intentions, but we haven't been able to find a vehicle for change. So that's what we're intending to do, really looking at all the great work that's been done by so many organizations, and as EIC has done, been the great aggregator and curator of information and insights, but also really looking at, where are we now, and trying to do more a deeper assessment and analysis. And then from there, coming up with a strategy to implement tools and resources that we can all utilize, training interventions that we can all utilize to then, within our own organizations and communities, put plans into place to drive incremental change and then measure them over time. And the group will be staying together, not only, for this year, but over a 3-year period to really, I think, which is different than what we've done in the past, measure our progress over time. And I think that will be ultimately so inspiring to see how through this commitment and this collaboration and this different thought process, we really are driving change.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Yeah.
And Derek, you're part of the Equity Task Force. So thank you for dedicating your time and sharing your knowledge and insights and helping us with this important program. You also contributed to the module on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can you tell us a little bit about why inclusion is so critical and essential for our industry, and some specific ways that event professionals can help to create events that really help everyone to have a true sense of belonging?
Well, two big questions there, but the COVID-19 pandemic and the magnification of systemic injustice that Amy just mentioned and inequality within our world have really highlighted the importance for each of us and for our events community to strategically embrace a more human-centric design. It's so important for us to learn from the past, and because we're not going back. There is no going back to pre-COVID. And with that, we have to embrace a liberated future for our industry. And when I say liberated future, I speak of one in which each person can fully and authentically bring their full selves into the experiences in which we're creating. We have to consider everyone to ensure that inclusive experiences are normal within the industry. And I say or I say we, because inclusion at the very end of it, it starts with I. It starts with each of us taking that ownership, taking that responsibility to keep inclusion as our main focus. Why is it so important? Well, obvious reasons. Morale is elevated. We are able to solve problems through creativity and innovation in new and creative ways. There's flexibility in organizations. There's a sense of culture and respect of belonging. But at the very end of the day, it's just the right thing to do. As we reintroduce the in-person experience into the planning process, it's so important, like Matthew mentioned, to create opportunities for everyone to fully participate, contribute, share, and learn, using digital as a tool to help us get there. Some ways that we can, again, move to create events where everyone has a true sense of belonging. Enlist diverse speakers. It all starts with our strategy. And we as business event strategists maybe haven't done a great job at ensuring that the strategy drives all actions. But something as simple as ensuring that our speakers are representative of multiple voices, multiple opinions. They don't necessarily have to look the same, but they can come from different backgrounds. Leveraging attendee data that is voluntarily given to help us reach diverse commitments to our organizations is another way of ensuring that we create inclusive experiences. Leaning on partners to implement focus groups and helping with post-event surveys is another area. There's so many organizations out there like LGBT MPA or PCMA or EIC that exists to help support our industry and has so many resources to ensure that inclusivity is a focal point of what we do. Providing inclusive spaces for people at events, whether that's in person or virtual, and having people there to be the connectors, to strategically guide those marginalized communities through the experiences that we're creating. No one likes to show up to something feeling like they're the only one. And to make those connections for everyone, for your participants, is a way of ensuring that people feel welcome. But at the very end of all of this, we have to be authentic from top to bottom, from the marketing through the execution. At the core, our industry is here, and we have an opportunity in this space to drive social and economic transformation within global communities. And it's time for us to evolve as an industry and step forward and take that opportunity to create more inclusive experiences for everyone so that we can bring our full selves into each and every event.
Thank you so much, Derek. Those are great insights, really great takeaways as well, actionable takeaways for all of the participants from today. So my next question is for Claudia. So Claudia, you're also a contributor to our course, and I'm so grateful to all of you, and the dozens of other contributors that shared insights into making this course possible. Now your focus was on in the climate section. So can you tell us a little bit about why things are so urgent in relation to the climate crisis, and what are some practical ways that event professionals can really help improve their impact?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the climate conversation is everywhere, probably in the news, in the papers, in the social media. But at the end of the day, it's really the climate agenda is really having profound impact on our planet's diversity and all of our lives, and also people's lives. And it's really an undeniable threat to our whole civilization. That earnest, that serious it is. I would also like to add to what Derek just said, that in the environmental discussion, and also especially also as a climate reality leader, we talk a lot about justice, because there cannot be social justice, environmental justice, with all of these looking into the broader story. So I really just wanted to add up on what Derek was saying, because this is really very profound and very broad, because climate is not only about CO2. It is, yes, but it has an implication on many, many things. And just also probably what I would like to mention is there are happening so many things right now as we are here, which we don't know about. Like just to give you a short example, when we talk about heat waves or floodings, etc. And as of these days, they're reporting that in Middle East and in Central Asia, they're having the highest heat waves ever measured at this time of the year in this month. So just as an example, in Iran, 51 degrees, which I don't know what is in Celsius. So this is 51 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what is in Fahrenheit. And Uzbekistan, almost 45 degrees Celsius. I mean, this is, yeah, anyway, so it really impacts everything, will have and is already having a direct impact on planet, business, and people. And so basically, when we talk about taking the climate conversation, we also look, of course, what is happening on the planet, because governments, as they are scaling up for the conference of the parties end of the year, so where countries are revisiting their climate commitments, stepping up, looking into net zero in transportation, changing to renewable energy, looking into nature and safeguarding ecosystems, and on and on and on. So again, here you see it's a very broad topic. And at the end of the day, it will and is already touching the events industry very deeply. And so in order to also build resilience and adapt to the current worldly situation we are in, we also in the industry have to step up. And I would like to also add here on what Derek was saying. So we really have to do a bold move and having these uncomfortable, inconvenient conversations. Absolutely. And yeah, so this is, I could talk forever, but Mariela, I think I stop here for the moment being. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Claudia. My last question right now is back to Jonas. So we're so excited about this certificate course that we've just made available online, but it really is only one piece of the work that is being done by the Center for Sustainability and Social Impact. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the other initiatives and pathways and opportunities for involvement?
Thank you, Mariela. Absolutely. So first, I'll say we have been working on a long-term strategy and a vision for the center for really the next 5 to 10 years. And I want to thank Claudia for her strong hand in that effort. But I'll highlight a few key initiatives. One that's been in existence for some time, one that's being refreshed, and one that's new. So one that's been around for a long time, on the EIC Sustainability and Social Impact website, there is a set of principles for sustainable events that are listed today that you as an individual can go and sign on to, endorse the principles, and then you're really setting an expectation or commitment for yourself and perhaps your organization that this notion of a shared responsibility and support for the Sustainable Development Goals is part of your personal makeup and personal future. So that's a very simple example. The second are the Sustainable Event Standards. Now, this is a major program that's been it's been in existence for some years. What we're working on right now is a final iteration of the standards so that they're accessible to more people, to more organizations, and adoptable for more events. So you can go today and download the current version of the standards, but know that in the coming months, there will be some reorganization of the standards, some additional elements, including a significant additional focus on equity and social justice within the standards. But today you can go and download them and learn what guidance exists today within those standards. Finally, from the standards, we are going to be creating a set of foundational actions. So simple, universal things that any organization or any event would or should consider as the foundational step to their journey to sustainability and social impact during their events. And there'll be many more, including a climate commitment for the industry and others. And if I could close with a couple of recommendations. So definitely spend time, if you can, on the EIC website. Number two, as you enter this journey to SEPC, hopefully, I would maybe start by going to the websites of the organizations you work in or for. I think you might be surprised if you go to them, how much those organizations already are committing to the Sustainable Development Goals, already have a corporate commitment to advance sustainability and social impact in a very very sophisticated way. And you can help bring those commitments into the events that you plan or host. So that would be my final thought for the audience, and back to you, Mariella.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yalma. I'm so excited to be able to collaborate with you and the Sustainability and Social Impact Committee in making all of these ambitious initiatives come to life, much like the certificate course. There's so much work for us, work ahead that we have going, and it really is critical for the future of our industry and our society. You know, I genuinely believe that events are going to be essential for addressing all of the major issues that our society faces. And so I'm excited to be able to help work with all of you to make that a reality. So I know that we have some questions, and I'm going to go through as many of them as I can over the next little bit. But there's one that I wanted to address to Matthew, and there was a question regarding ADA compliance and whether or not that is sufficient. And I want to tee it up a little bit because I'd like to draw the distinction between a venue being compliant with accessibility regulations in the United States. It's ADA. In other countries, it would be some different legislation. But that really just assures that you have the capability potentially of making your event accessible. There are also design decisions that are made on a daily basis by event professionals that affect accessibility. So Matthew, can you share with us a little bit about that concept?
Yeah, so I'm smiling because Derek knows this question's right in my wheelhouse. And so yes, you're exactly right. The ADA is sort of the bare minimum of what's required to make a venue or any kind of location accessible. And throughout my work, I kind of use this idea of inclusion above compliance, because something can be compliant by the standard of the ADA or whatever the law that your country or locality uses to protect people with disabilities, but that doesn't mean that it is fully inclusive. And so the same can be said for events and other things. And so that's where, again, having somebody with a disability on your committee or your team to, yes, we technically, our venue is ADA compliant, but how can we make this space more inclusive beyond just being ADA compliant so that a person with a disability can fully immerse themselves and fully engage in that conference? Like the perfect example I always use, and this is always, people always scratch their heads when they hear me say this, but something as simple as putting a ramp to get onto the stage is something that in some conferences happens and in some does not. And so, there have been many times where I've been fortunate enough to receive awards and different things like that, and there's no ramp for me to get on stage to be recognized as anyone else would who would be receiving an award. And oftentimes I have to be like spotlighted and the person comes down off stage and it just becomes a whole a whole thing, but it's also about incorporating inclusion and accessibility in all aspects of the entire conference, from the registration. Are your registration forms accessible? Are your accommodations easy to like, or is it easy to get accommodations? Are you, as an event planner, having regular conversations with individuals with disabilities before, during, and after the conference to say, how can we make this experience most accessible for you? You know, what else can we do to make you most comfortable in this environment? Because Derek's right, there's nothing worse than being the quote unquote guinea pig of the scenario. And so having those regular conversations and thinking about how can I go above and beyond what the ADA requires to guarantee that a person with a disability or any number of people who come through this event can have the most comfortable and rewarding and learned experience. I hope that answered the question.
That was great, Matthew. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few questions about the differences between the previous SEPC course, the in-person course, and the new online course. So I do want to mention that we are very hopeful about offering the course in person again. We've been very fortunate to be able to take this course around the world to many different parts of the world and share this. This course is a significant expansion. There's about 50% more content in the new course than there was in the previous in-person course. It is eligible for 12 hours of continuing educations for both the CMP and the CAE programs. So this is, really great benefits for people who are doing either or both of those certifications. We do have options for people who have taken the course previously to be able to take the full course again at a discounted rate, or if they would like to have simply access to the workbook with that has all of the resources and complete the capstone project and earn the badge, we have an additional discount available for that. We also have a question regarding the fees and scholarships. So we actually have a globally available discount, a COVID relief rate available to all event professionals. There's information on the website around how to request that. Actually, I think the code is actually right on the website. So if that applies to you, we encourage you to use that discount to access the education. This really has been an incredible contribution from so many individuals. So very grateful. So there's another question around the capstone project. So I don't know if we can bring up that slide easily, but the capstone project, it really is a one-page document. And I actually, I have this vision that everyone's going to print this off, and I know that it's printing with purpose, right? But fill it out and put it on your wall, because it really is a daily reminder of the things that you'll want to be keeping top of mind. So what is your vision? How can we support the Sustainable Development Goals? How will you take action, and how will you influence others? Those are the key aspects to the capstone. So I really think that it's a great way to start your day and think about how are you going to advance these ideas and these concepts and essential practices around sustainability and social impact. So, do we have other questions that people would like to ask? In that case, I'll just go around the room with one last request for takeaway actions. So I'll go to each of you and ask one at a time, what is the one thing that you would like to see everyone on this course do moving forward in all of their events? So I'm going to start with Claudia first. One thing. Oh.
Partnerships for the goals. We all can't do it alone, and we need to partner. We need to get together and in order to drive mass and drive, because in addition, not only our meetings industry, but beyond other sectors and looking outside the plate. And I think this is the one thing, because you said one.
Excellent, great. Derek.
Yeah, I think my one thing would be to continue to learn and share. We can't do this alone. We can't move mountains individually, but we can do that collectively. And the more people that we have supporting the same mission, the same goals, the same mindset, that evolution that everyone has talked about our industry, getting back to better, that can happen when we collectively continue our own individual growth and then share that with others.
Excellent, thank you, Derek. Matthew?
I mean, I think the obvious one to say is take the course first and foremost. So that would be the half thing. And then the other thing I would say is, again, think about as much as we don't like all these Zooms and things, that really does make the world more accessible. So think about how you can continue to have that hybrid. And I really encourage folks to, have that hybrid from here on out, because it really does open up the world to a lot more people.
Thank you, Matthew. And Yilmaz?
I would recommend that if you plan, host, or help organize events, that you bring these notions of social impact and sustainability into your core plan. Don't consider these ideas or notions separate to a decision about food and beverage here, sustainability there. Design of space and setup here, accessibility there. Make it part of the same consideration set, and that'll make a great difference.
Wonderful advice, thank you. And to wrap things up, I'll pass it back to Amy Calvert to end the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Such a incredible group of thinkers and thought leaders and passionate individuals. I learn every time I have an opportunity to spend time with you, so I'm very, very grateful. And to our participants, great energy and interaction. I think the one takeaway that would be important for me to share with you is that, based on my own personal experience, it can be very overwhelming to begin a journey such as this one. And I would encourage you all to be inspired by the journey itself, and not to feel as if you have to understand every single aspect of it immediately, and to just sort of, breathe into this notion of being surrounded by peers that are willing to share and learn side by side with you, and to not feel alone as you start to think about, how might I approach this? There are so many resources and tools and passionate leaders available to you. EIC acting as the umbrella organization for so many of my member organizations and partners that are doing fantastic work. So, take a deep breath, be inspired by the journey. I really believe in this notion of collaboration and strategy, but it does start with us as individuals really being inspired and to take that first step. So thank you for being on the call today. We are definitely stronger together, and really appreciate everyone being with us and all the hard work that went into creating this. So well done, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, and we will stay in touch and talk to you soon.
Excellent. That concludes today's webinar. On behalf of the Events Industry Council, I'd like to thank our speakers once more, and as well, everyone attending. EIC will be sending our live attendees their 1 hour CE within 1 week. This webinar will be available for playback on the EIC YouTube channel as well. Now, if you have any questions that didn't get answered today, just reach out to sustainability@eventscouncil.org. This webinar will now end. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.